I bring that up because me looking at you in 2018, I just assumed like, oh, this guy has got it all figured out, um, and and you were posting every day. You're putting all this effort into it, and I never questioned what was really going on behind the scenes. I never thought, I wonder what BJ's mental health is like. I wonder how he feels on a day-to-day basis. And I'm just going to kind of skip to 2021, and I'm referencing the podcast you did with Jeremy Scott, and you had a breakdown in April of 2021. And specifics aside, if you want to go listen to the, I mean, I think it's an extremely, it's an extremely vulnerable podcast. If you want to really get BJ's story there and really hear it all, go over there and listen. But I want to bring it up because I'm just curious. You were living this extremely stressful life. It sounded like, like really grinding hard, really pushing yourself for years and years and years. And you were a college football player. You were pushing yourself then. You were pushing yourself through all these different business ventures, and you got to this point, where you just couldn't do it anymore. And I'm over here thinking, were there signs before that point? Were you just not aware of it, or did you think it was normal to feel that way? Did you recognize it was there and just ignore it and power through it? Like what were what was going on leading up to that?
Well, there's a lot of factors. I had a not so clean break with Men's Health. I left, but if I stayed, I probably would have gotten fired because of what was going on there internally. I did a podcast on that on my Get Some Gains podcast where I go into depth, and I'm actually going to do another one because it's been 5 years, and there's a lot of regrets I have now. I did not. In some ways, I'm ashamed of how I acted, but I was hurt. I was hurt with how they treated me and kind of what went down there. And based on my childhood and my past, I respond to hurt with anger,
Mm-hmm.
rage. I
Yeah.
kind of left Men's Health with like the goal of like uh, shoving it up there. You know what? They were like a chief motivator to me. And again, like the thing about most of my life, I use negativity to fuel me.
Mm-hmm.
And being fat, being called ugly, hideous, whatever. People making fun of my injuries, calling me the million. Who was it? The Bionic Man, because I had knee braces and I had to actually
Oh
have an
yeah.
elevator key at school because stairs were painful.
Mm.
So I used, and then when I was at Men's Health, people made fun of my legs. They didn't know my
Yeah.
injury history with my knees. I was told at 22 that I had the cartilage damage of a senior citizen and that I won't be able to lunge or squat or run again. I've since rebuilt my lower body the last 2 decades, and I also blew up my legs so much so that I have a short shorts fashion line. So yeah, you know what I'm saying. So my whole life I used the negativity as fuel, and I flipped the script on it. But I got to the age of, let's say, 37, 38, man, and then it just didn't do it for me anymore. The negativity instead of like being fuel for me, it just burnt me out. Um,
Mm.
and it was kind of such a contrast because my wife and I worked our whole lives to get to California. We finally did. Spent some time in Malibu, Thousand Oaks. Malibu in particular was like paradise, man. Best time of our lives. And then the pandemic hits, and my wife's father dies early in the pandemic. Business starts to go to shit. I thought it was. I'm sorry, excuse my language. I thought it was going to be a good thing for the business because people were stuck at home and they'd be more interested in home fitness.
Mm-hmm.
That went away after like 3 to 6 months. People got kind of burnt out with being at home and just they also had anxiety, depression,
Mm-hmm.
existential angst. All the things we were going through, and our fitness business started to take a hit. And then I was in the. I just fed my dog. I went to the other room, and then I went to check on him 10 minutes later, and he was dead. My best buddy, his heart stopped. I tried to resuscitate him, and he was gone. And that's when something happened to my brain. The pain of that, I never like, man. I've had 5 dogs now. I had some dogs when I was a kid, and I love dogs, but I never thought a dog would do it to me, and that's who it was. It was a dog named Kong, a boxer. And his heart stopped, and my brain changed. And from
Mm.
that point, I left social media for 6 months, and it really hurt our business even more. I still haven't recovered from that departure. I lost
Yeah.
basically 10 years of momentum that I had built. The algorithm now seems to be constantly against me. Wham, wham, wham. But it isn't like 2018, and maybe I'll never recapture it. But um, I had to kind of come back to social media when I did, and I'm just approaching it like a video game, man. I come in, I'm trying to collect coins, and I leave. And
Mm.
I'm just a coin collector, and I don't take anything too seriously there. I'm not letting it. I let it be my self esteem, like all
Mhm.
the success in my life, because I had such low self esteem. I only had esteem through success. So when bad
Mhm.
times happened or I had failures, I'd go to such darkness and depression. And this time with the deaths and the pandemic and the business struggling, and then hitting a midlife crisis, and then finally, as I began to like breathe, I learned how to breathe. I learned how to meditate,
Yeah.
and I think I may have meditated. My meditation was too long. There's actually a study that says 20 minutes is a good cutoff, because I started to like get disconnected from reality, and I finally confronted my childhood, the dysfunctional home I grew up in, the verbal, physical abuse that my mom and I experienced at the hands of my dad. Coming to terms like with like having trouble looking in the mirror because I
Mm.
started to see my dad, and he was my hero, but also like the person that made me want to start working out so I could kick his ass, because
Mm.
he would beat my mom and he would abuse me and belittle me, and he stole any confidence I'd ever have as a man, and in many ways gave me the worst example of what it was to be a husband, to be, um, though he was there and he provided, and I wouldn't be where I am today without him. He came from a slum in North Africa and Tunisia, built a life for himself in America, and he was my hero. But at the same time, like a really mentally ill individual, who, to his credit, took care of his family at the age of 10 because his father passed. And he
Mm.
still takes care of all the family he has there. And so, dude, it's complicated stuff. And I kind of used my career to run away from it. I left home. I haven't really been back. But then I
Mm.
finally confronted it. So then all these elements became like this perfect storm where I broke down. And on April 13th, 2021, I woke up and I was going to just go to Zuma Beach in Malibu one more time, see a sunset, and then drive off a cliff accidentally, so my wife could collect my life insurance and find someone more stable to spend the rest of her life with. And I didn't do it, but I was close. And I don't know how I got there except for what I'm explaining. And
Mm.
throughout the whole time, though, like I never stopped exercising, and my commitment to my craft was there. That probably is why I'm still here.
Mhm.
But it was tough, man. But a lot of people are going through it right now, man. There's as I tried to even get therapy, I had to wait like 6 weeks because so many people
Wow.
were also searching for therapy and help, because people finally got the time to really confront their inner demons.
Yeah.
I'm sure you went through your own
Yeah.
version of it, and again, I don't. A lot of people had a lot worse than me, but it just a lot of it was timing. Approaching 40, realizing my physical um, limits and having to evolve that. And as we
Mhm.
both have to do, we're old men in our profession. We got to
Yeah.
compete with 20 year olds, or we don't compete with them. We evolve what we do, and
Mhm.
understand that now we have to do things a bit differently, focus more on recovery, and also our audience is evolving too. I
Mhm.
think what happened as well with our audience and our business, a lot of people were my age. They had new families, and can you imagine having a new family during the pandemic?
Hope you enjoyed that. Click over here if you want to watch another clip from the podcast. If you haven't subscribed, click over here to subscribe and check out full episodes on any major podcasting platform, full video episodes on the Better Man Podcast YouTube channel.